this up and how to share it and how to talk about CBD and really talking through some more of the science of these products. So Dr. Banker, thank you so much for hopping on and talking through some CBD with us.
Okay, well, follow diamonds. Thank you so much for having me. Let me see if I can launch this little lecture here. Here we go. All right, so I just want to pick up where Howard and Brett left off. And so we were talking about male and female plants, and all these cartoons are from my books. I like when other people advertise my book and I don't have to do it myself. But you see on the left side a male plant, and it looks a little different. Guys are a little bit more rough than women. Women are a little bit more elaborate. They put a little lipstick on, they have makeup, things like that. And so when you look on the left side, you see a male plant, and it has these little things where the branches go off, and these are kind of the testicles of the man. So these are the pollen sacs, we call them. And when you go to the right, you see the female. The female looks a little prettier, has nicer leaves. I mean, takes a little more care of herself, I would say, than the male. And so she has nicer flowers, and then she has the same little structures where the branches go off, but that's maybe more like the uterus compared to the testicles. And so when you put a field out as a farmer, you get about half of those are male plants and half of those are female plants. And then you let them do, you look away and you let them do what they ever want to do. And at that point, they create babies. And the baby of a hemp plant is called a hemp seed. And this is how we get seeds. So once the female is pregnant, she's very happy. And so she starts producing different cannabinoids than an unhappy one. And so the cannabinoids that is produced by a happy pregnant hemp plant are more the CBD type and other type cannabinoids that are a little calmer than the THC, which is marijuana. How do you create THC? Well, you just remove all the males. The female becomes sexually frustrated and starts producing way more beauty around her, like lipstick, and that is gluey, and it will try to capture the pollen and make sure she gets the pollen and not the neighbor one who is also frustrated. And so this is what marijuana growers have done. They have just removed all the males, and then the females compete with each other. So that was kind of just explaining a little bit about male and female plant. Why do I tell you that? Because it's important. Again, the farmer goes out, he puts out the field, and you have 50% male, 50% female. And you see in this picture, the guy is a little more simple. He has a piece of wood in his hand. He can use that to create paper, carton boxes, whatever. Whereas the female is a little more elaborate, a little more sexy, has many bags, shopping bags. These all represent different cannabinoids. And so this is why hemp farmers like the female plant, because she gives us more cannabinoids, not necessarily better ones. That depends on what you need from it. And so we are in time of sex change, right? Everybody's talking about that. Well, what these people don't understand is when you just cut off breasts of females and whatever you want to call it of males, it does not change the biology of the female or male. So what happens in the industry right now, you feminize seeds. So you have only female seeds. And how do you do that? Brett kind of explained that a little bit. Well, you let the female be completely in depression, anxiety, you stress her. And you stress her with chemicals. And that's called also genetic engineering. You just don't need the microscope and little scissors to do that. You can just stress the female plant. And the female plant then says, oh my God, I'm so stressed. I don't take time to put lipstick on anymore, to dress up nicely. I wish I would be a guy who just cares about the piece of wood or whatever that is. And so the female becomes, when she's stressed chemically, becomes a male plant. But again, people don't understand in humans, it's the same thing with the plants. The seeds, the genetics, whether it's a male now or not, is still female because the male was created out of that female. And this is how you feminize seeds. And then you put all these seeds out, and these males are now pollinating the females, but these males also have female seeds. And so you get a female-female plant, basically, and that's what basically every company is using these days. So that was just to explain to you what feminizing means, and that this is a GMO plant chemically stressed to obtain that. So you have two choices today. Basically, all companies are like here on the left side. These are CBD and other cannabinoids from genetically modified stressed plants with only basically female seeds. At Young Living on the right side, you get CBD and other cannabinoids from non-GMO, non-stressed plants. In fact, we do the opposite. We sing, we dance, right? We make sure these plants are healthy and happy. And they have naturally selected the very strong seeds over now 6-7 years. And this is why we are really specifically and unique. So the other thing we talked a lot about is the entourage effect. What does that mean? It means that if you want to carry a piano to the first floor, it's pretty hard work. You're going to bang up the walls. You're going to sweat all that. Why not just call all your friends? They carry the piano. You can sit on top of it and have a happy time, right? So the friends are called in French the entourage, basically those people that surround you. That's the entourage. It's a French word. And so you could create this entourage with a full spectrum. So what we have done in the past, we took a CBD isolate for mostly legal reasons, and we created an entourage with several essential oils. You remember we had a peppermint, a citrus, a cinnamon flavor one. And so we took all these compounds in our essential oils and we created an entourage for that single cannabinoid called CBD. But when you look today, this is what Howard showed you. This is hemp essential oil. Yeah, you can create essential oil by distilling hemp, and you see all these different compounds that we partially also find in other plants, and they now all work together as a huge entourage effect, meaning now you just called 100 friends instead of just 4 to help you, not just with the piano, but with many other things. So this is the super enhanced entourage effect, where you combine full spectrum CBD with all the cannabinoids in there, grown from naturally selected non-GMO, non-feminized Young Living hemp seeds. And important again, non-feminized, because male and female have different cannabinoids in there. Then we also have all our Young Living essential oils. We have plenty of those. They all have an entourage effect on these cannabinoids. Then we have to steam distill hemp essential oil. I'm not talking about hemp seed oil. I'm talking about distilling the plant, not just crunching the seeds. So we have the steam distilled hemp essential oil from males and females, which are different. And then we combine those from different farms. So we create even a more special one. And then we add deep spectra technology and other natural things into it, which you're going to see. And that creates this super, super enhanced product we call the new Young Living CBD products. And the name we give to that stuff is bioactive compound synergy, right? What is that? Well, you just take each word, bioactive, it does something in your body, bio, because you're alive, different compounds, and it's synergy, it works together. It describes a process where compounds from natural plants elicit health benefits for the human body. And that can be said, that's a claim that is absolutely valid. And we know that from a lot of research. So the next thing I want to jump into is the endocannabinoid system. And explain that just shortly what that is. Endo is the old Greek word for inside a human. So you have an endocannabinoid system, meaning you are producing cannabinoids in your body. So you can have cannabinoids from the plants, phytocannabinoids, you can have them from the laboratory, synthetic cannabinoids, or you can have it from your own body called endocannabinoids. And these 5 pieces I have here on the table will explain everything you need for that system. You have keys, we call them ligands, that could be CBD, could be CBG, could be like pinene, whatever you have from essential oils. You have a lock, that's a receptor. So when the key fits in the right lock, then we either have a door that opens, a door that closes. Then you have some cranes. Cranes are enzymes that build up something. Then you have a few boats when you need to transport these compounds over water. And then you have a few hammers. These are the hammers that destroy the enzymes that we use for all these processes. So when you understand that we have some enzymes involved, some keys, some locks, and some boats, you already understand the endocannabinoid system. So if I bring a CBD letter to a CBD receptor, in that case, I'm like a postman bringing a CBD mail into the mailbox. If that CBD letter fits the mailbox gets a little heavier, and then goes through the cell membrane and starts a domino reaction in the cell. And on the right side, you see how that looks scientifically and how it reaches through the cell membrane. And it has different structure depending on its cannabinoid 1 receptor or cannabinoid 2. But if you put something on there, something happens in the cell. And so Howard talked about this presynapse, postsynapse, and the nerves. So let me go into just explain that with a cartoon, right? So if I hold two nerves together, we think they touch, but when you take a magnifying glass, as you see here, and kind of in the middle, they don't touch. They have something in the middle, a gap. And when you magnify that under microscope, you see the incoming nerve here, and below you see the outgoing nerve, and in the middle you see this gap. This whole structure we call a synapse, and the gap is the synaptic gap. What is the incoming is presynaptic because it's before that gap. What's outgoing is postsynaptic because it's after the gap. And so here comes a nerve signal, an electric signal, and it has to jump over that river, and it cannot. So the way the body uses that, it creates these little bubbles, which are chemicals. We call them neurochemicals or neurotransmitters. And they go through that gap and they go to receptors on the other side. And that's when they start a reaction so that the nerve knows what signal to continue throughout the body. So when you look at the presynaptic part, the first part, you see that like these little indentations. And when you really magnify it, these are the mailboxes. These are where you can attach CBD, marijuana, some other things. And then they will influence what bubbles and how many bubbles go across the river. And then once you reach the other side of the river, you see there's little manufacturing plants, and I magnified those, and they produce something called 2-AG, that's an abbreviation for long word, and something called A, that's an abbreviation for anandamide. These are your endocannabinoids. These are the ones that you produce. And then you want to bring them back over the river, so you need little boats, and you put them on the boats from the manufacturing plant, and you bring them to these mailboxes. And depending on how they connect to these mailboxes, it decides again what kind of bubbles and how many of these bubbles will go across the river. So just imagine you have pain and you have a lot of pain bubbles going across. And now the manufacturing plant across says, whoa, there's way too much pain coming. Let me create 2-AG and have that bind after it arrives with the boats on the first presynaptic thing. I'm going to remove or reduce the bubbles that creates pain. And that's how it regulates within seconds, milliseconds, for example, your inflammation and pain response. But it does the same thing with emotion and with your mood, because then it produces more anandamide and brings it over. And then anandamide says, well, you're in bad mood. I want you in a better mood. So let's create more of these bubbles that help with the mood. And so the body, God, evolution, the body created a self-sustaining balancing system that works for all kinds of things. And because it's on every single nerve, it's on every single organ system throughout your body, not just the brain and the nervous system. So just in general, hemp farming is not just for human health, it's also for planetary health. Hemp takes about double the amount of CO2 out of the air. So that's all great news for climate activists, right? It removes this whole CO2 twice as good as any forest. And it takes only about half the water than any other crop or forest. So it's a really, really healthy plant for planet Earth. The other thing that hemp does, it's a bioaccumulator. So it takes a lot of dirt and pollution and pesticides that is in the ground and will pull it into the plant. And so you can clean up fields that have been totally poisoned before by using this. Well, but that's where the seed to seal comes into play, right? We need to make sure that we all use clean CBDs and clean cannabinoids and not the one that has sucked up all the pesticides and herbicides. And most CBD comes from outside the US these days. And I bet you they are spraying their fields to get a higher yield. And all of that you find in the products. And there's plenty of studies there. So seed to seal will guarantee that you're going to get a very clean CBD and very clean cannabinoids from organically responsibly farmed fields. And so this is really great for not just your health, but also for planet Earth. So just to put it all together, Young Living just reached the next frontier in cannabinoid products. We have seed to seal. Nobody has that. We make sure part of the CBD is all organic. I created this logo for super enhanced CBD cannabinoid products, right? Because we throw everything at it that just makes it better and stronger to support all these feedback loops in the nerves I just showed you. It's non-GMO. We didn't feminize the seeds. We're still using male and female, naturally selected to be really strong. It's like survival of the fittest, and fittest in this case means the best cannabinoids. It's eco-friendly because it uses less water. It takes more CO2 out of the earth, out of the air. And the natural genetics are unique to Young Living. They're owned by Young Living. And so this products and whatever else to come with this kind of technology is absolutely unique to Young Living and cannot be copied. It just cannot. So with that, I hope let's stop sharing real quick here. So with that, I hope you understood some of the stuff that we talked about previously.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ollie. Who loves Dr. Ollie?